Welcome into the Rob Bro Show. I am Rob Bro. I am the host. You are the co-host. You can co-host today by commenting on the starting line, chat line. I always have my hat over here. I don't know where it is today. The starting line, counseling chat line there on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, join us over on YouTube. You can comment. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and like the video. Hit subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. We can do it all day. We've got a lot to talk about today. Well, actually, we don't, but we'll figure it out. Some things to talk about. We've got Texas Tech football to discuss, fall camp going on. We've got barracks, basically, as locker rooms there on the east side of the stadium. We've got power rankings today. We've got Major League Baseball power rankings today. We can do it all and do it all with you right here on the Rob Bro Show. Let's get into it. Let's start with the ACC. The ACC, let's see. This is from Ross Dellinger. From this morning, our Yahoo Sports story from Tuesday on ACC Exploring Expansion Editions. Cal, Stanford, and SMU. They dove into the financials yesterday in that story. SMU is open to foregoing 5+ years of distribution. SMU is going to come to the ACC for free. Cal and Stanford are open to taking 60 to 70% share, which tells me nobody else wants them. The Big 12 said no. The Big 10 said no. Please, ACC, save us. You had your chance, Stanford and Cal, over and over again. Now they're begging the ACC, which makes zero sense to me. Then you have ESPN, new money offsetting current member travel increases. So ESPN is going to pay more to all of these teams and then 60 to 70%. It doesn't make sense financially. This is an ESPN that I keep hearing is losing money and cutting staff and trying to get rid of the radio aspect of the company and getting rid of sports broadcasting. It just doesn't make any sense. This deal makes zero sense for the ACC. It makes zero sense for ESPN. It's a reactionary moment to Florida State wanting to leave. How does adding Cal and Stanford make Florida State say, oh, wait, maybe we will stay? Maybe we are doing good here. Maybe adding SMU for free for 5 years is actually a good thing. What? None of this makes what the ACC doing right now any better. Alan on the starting line chat line says SMU will be great in the Southland Conference in 2030. I mean, they can just stay in the AAC. Like, why leave the AAC if you're SMU? You don't have a fan base that is very engaged. You were once one of the biggest brands in college football. Then you had the death penalty, and you've never recovered. Fan base has never recovered. The football program has never recovered. The rest of your athletic department has never recovered. Now, you've had some success there at SMU. You've had some 10-win seasons. You've had some punch-ups. But if you're SMU and you don't need the money, why climb to the ACC? Why not just wait out something else? If football explodes, and I understand, well, you need a seat at the table. Is the ACC really a seat at the table right now? I mean, you could argue the Big 12 is hardly a seat at the table. With the SEC and the Big 10, the true seats at the table. I think the Big 12 is in a better position than the ACC, but you could argue they're in the same position, on the cusp of the table. More news coming out from college football. Greg Sankey in the last couple of days saying we need to rework or at least talk about the playoff. I agree, Greg Sankey. This is why you're on the cutting edge. This is why you're the best of the best in college football, right beside Brett Yormark as the best commissioner in Power 5 football, even though there's no such thing as Power 5 anymore. You have to rework what was said about the playoff. You can't have 6 conferences repped in the playoff. You need to go down to 4. 4 conferences get automatic bids. Do not label the conferences. Just say there are 4 automatic bids, the rest are at large. The 4 conferences with the best team, conference champion, wins, goes into the playoff. Boom. Pac-12, gone. ACC, Big 12, probably in. And then you have the SEC and the Big 10 in every year because you can just guarantee that one of those teams is going to be in the top 4. And that makes a 16-team playoff because the conference championship game should matter. If you win the conference, you're in. Boom. 4 automatic bids. No reason to go up to 6. That's a ridiculous thought. It made sense when you had the true Power 5, but college football has changed immensely over the last 3 years since they decided to do what to do with the playoff. I mean, it is incredible how much college football has changed in the last 3 years. Texas and Oklahoma heading to the SEC. USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington all going to the Big 10. The Big 12 adding 8 schools to get to 16 when they were left for dead with 8 dead in the water 2 years ago. So since you've decided what to do with the Big 12, the college football playoff, everything's different. There are now 4 conferences that even close to matter. The Pac-12 has absolutely died. The AAC has changed fundamentally without Cincinnati and Houston, and UCF for that matter. So even the AAC is different. They have a bunch of Conference USA schools in there now. So why guarantee the AAC? Why guarantee the Sun Belt? Why guarantee the Pac-4? Why guarantee 6 conferences when there aren't 6 conferences that deserve to be in the playoff? There was another person. Who was it? I don't remember who said it. But another person said, get 64 teams in the top level of college football, get 64 teams in the second level of college football, have them fight to their own playoff. Please. I've been saying this for months, if not years now. You need another college football playoff. Just make another national championship. What does it matter? Have the top 64 play for one, have the bottom 64 play for one. That would eliminate all of this restructuring, trying to fight to get to the top level of college football if there was another championship down a level. If Boise State got to play for a conference championship every year, if UCF had been able to win a conference championship in 2017, a national championship, if Cincinnati had been able to go to their own championship in 21, that's what's needed. A second national championship for the group of 5, what we call the group of 5 currently. Then you have those 64, this 64. You'll have to restructure a little bit because you have more than 64 teams in the Power 5 now. Then you have 69 plus the independent. That would force Notre Dame's hand to get in the conference. whatever the number is, it just makes sense to me to add a national championship. It just makes sense. 64 teams in the top, 64 teams in the middle, and then you have the FCS. The FCS has fought to their own championship. They're still playing Power 5 teams for the first couple of games every year. You can still play the group of 5 teams as much as you want. There can still be crossover. You can still play Arkansas State or ACU in week 2 or week 9 if you're the SEC. You can still play them. But for them to be able to fight to their own championship, to me, makes perfect sense. For Boise State and Nevada, I don't know if Nevada's going to be fighting for it, but you know what I mean. These group of 5 schools, Coastal Carolina, SMU, because right now, there is zero reason for them to play college football if championships are their goal. Sure, they can play to bowl games. They can play to conference championships. But if you're talking about a national championship, there is zero reason for 100 teams to play college football in the current iteration. There's probably 30 teams right now that legitimately have a shot at the playoff in today's world. In tomorrow's world, with the expanded playoff, maybe there's 50 teams that legitimately have a shot at the playoff. Jacob on the starting line chat line says the SEC not playing 9 conference games yet is just silly at this point. I agree. By the way, we're here in the Diversified Lenders studio today. Shout out to Diversified Lenders. Make your accounts receivable cash today with Diversified Lenders. Find them at diversifiedlenders.com. The SEC not playing 9 conference games is crazy still, especially because they backfill their. If they played an SEC game in the first 3 and then got it out of the way before week 5, let's say their 4 non-conference games, that would make a whole lot more sense than playing one in November. That does not make sense to me. It just doesn't. All right, we have some Fathlete news today. Breon Ramsey Brooks for TCU. He went viral this week for being a fathlete. Nothing else. Plays offensive line at TCU. He's 6'5", listed at 455. He's a freshman from South Oak Cliff High School. Part of the reason they won back-to-back national or state championships, I think. 455. That's a lot of beef. Shout out to the fathlete, Breon Ramsey Brooks. We'll be looking out for you on TCU's team. I would assume he'll lose quite a bit of weight in his first 2 years before he gets on the field, but maybe not. Maybe they'll just put him out there. It seems like when you have the 400s, that's probably defensive line. Offensive line, though, and I think it's a typo, but 455, that's what they have him listed at. I think he's probably 360. Big frame. We could power rank Fathletes if you want to. It is Power Ranking Wednesday. You can power rank whatever you want. Down there on the list, Jacob says, how much do you think they'll want him to cut before they play? Well, he probably is not going to play as a freshman. He's a true freshman, offensive lineman. Probably not going to play for another 2 or 3 years. If it's not a typo and he really is 450, probably is going to lose 100 pounds before they play him. He's on the roster. He might play at 400. I don't know. It's just as rare that you have an offensive lineman playing at 400. All right, let's get to some power rankings. If you have power rankings, you can power rank whatever you want there. If we were power ranking Fathletes today, Vince Wilfork would be up there. Great Fathlete in the overalls. Refrigerator Perry scoring touchdowns. Trying to go to some other sports here. Prince Fielder Jr. there in baseball with the body cover on ESPN. Got a shout out to the respect of Prince Fielder. Fathlete, Texas Ranger. Not a great Texas Ranger, but a Texas Ranger nonetheless. Let's go to some Major League Baseball power rankings. Number one this week should be the Baltimore Orioles, but I'm knocking them. We're going to go Atlanta Braves, number one, 70-39. At last check when I wrote this down. They might have won another game since then. Played the Dodgers and the Cubs last week. Lost a series to the Cubs. The Baltimore Orioles, 3-1 against Toronto, 3-0 against the Mets last week. They should be number one this week, but they have suspended Kevin Brown for speaking the truth. Their production team had a graphic ready to go about the Toronto Blue Jays. No, not the Toronto Blue Jays. About the Tampa Bay Rays. And he said, man, this team has not been good against Tampa Bay in this building, but have split the series so far today and are trying to win the series. With a win today, they've been much better against the Tampa Bay Rays at Tropicana Field, but they weren't very good for a long time. They suspended him for that. Ridiculous. So I'm dropping Baltimore to 2. Atlanta stays at 1. The Astros and the Texas Rangers flip-flopping again. I'll put the Texas Rangers back at 3, 8 in a row. They lost a couple series in a row, but now they've gone 8-0 in their last 8 against the White Sox, the Marlins, and now the A's. Sure, a couple of bad teams in there, but 8-0 is 8-0. Then you go Tampa Bay, Houston, in the top 5, whichever route you want to go there. But I think the Texas Rangers at 8-0 are back to being number 3, with Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Texas, Atlanta, and Houston being the top 5 in any order over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Back to the Fathlete conversation. Jared Lorenzen, rest in peace, is the ultimate Fathlete, being an NFL quarterback when he was the size of the right guard. Legend. Certainly more productive at Kentucky. Was on NFL rosters behind Eli Manning there with the Giants. Solid Fathlete, Jared Lorenzen. And then he was real big and played. he played semi-pro or arena league in like this bright green, skin-tight, reptile print uniform that was real nice. Real nice. That's peak Fathlete right there, playing quarterback in the skin-tight reptile print. All right, anything else on the starting line, chat line as we start to wind down here? We talked conference realignment a little bit with the ACC, how it's ridiculous for SMU to basically beg to the point of giving in for free to the ACC for 5 years. 5 years for free. No payouts. Pretty crazy there. And you also have the California schools with ESPN apparently promising travel money for the existing ACC schools if they let them do it. If ESPN wants that programming so bad, why don't they just go 50% with the Big 12? Like, that would make more sense to me. Or the Big 10. Get the Big 10 to 20 or whatever they're going to be at. All right, that's about all I have today. We'll see you on Friday with Carson. Friday lunch show at 12 p.m. And that'll be it for today. Been Rob Bro. We'll be Rob Bro. We'll see you then.